evening, everyone who's here with us live, and those of you who will watch this recording into the future. We are happy to have you this evening for our Scholarship and Practice series topic called It Takes a Village, Connecting Community Services to Public Schools. My name is Joseph Morgan. I'm a professor of special education and the chair of the Department of Early Childhood, Multilingual, and Special Education. And I'm happy to host this panel of awesome experts related to full service community schools and community schooling within our community. And I want to take a minute here at the beginning to give them an opportunity to introduce themselves. And so, Lori, without further ado, I'll turn it over to you for introductions.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks again, Joe. My name is Lori Lopez Priest, and I work for the City of Las Vegas Department of Youth Development and Social Initiatives, and I get the honor and pleasure of managing our youth enrichment programs, which is comprised of our Reinvent Schools Las Vegas initiative, our Reinvent After School program, and our Safe Key Before and After School programs and services.
Awesome. Thank you. And Sylvia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sylvia Kolb. I am with Reinvent Schools Las Vegas. I am a program specialist, so I am located at one of our sites.
Awesome. And Aris.
How we doing? I'm Arish Perkins. I'm also a community schools program specialist with Reinvent Schools, Community Schools Initiative, and my campus is Matt Kelly Elementary School. How we doing?
Awesome. Thank you. And so I have the pleasure in my scholarship over the last 10 years or so has focused on how we can integrate community schools into urban public schools throughout Southern Nevada to support the needs of both families and community stakeholders on these school campuses. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that. But I have the awesome privilege every day to work with fine people like this who are looking to expand community schools programming in our valley. And so without our next step is we'd like to get to know a little bit more about you. And so Youngbach, our fearless webinar leader, is going to release a poll just asking a little bit about who you are and what your familiarity is with community schools. So if you could take 90 seconds or so and just complete this quick survey, it just helps us understand who is in the room and what you're kind of seeking to understand about community schools. So we've got a good mix of, it looks like, teachers and university staff students in the room. So welcome. We're glad you're here. The two of you are critical stakeholders in a community school model. So we're glad that you are here with us to learn more about this. We have community stakeholders in the room. And it looks like there is, we may be a newer group to community schools models, which is awesome. So we're here to kind of help give you some information about these models and how we're implementing them in Southern Nevada. And the nice part is 100% of us are either agree or strongly agree that you're ready to learn. So that's what I appreciate. That's good. We're all in the right mind space to be able to do that. So thank you, Youngbach, again for facilitating that poll with us. So our agenda for today is I'm going to open us with just briefly talking from the research. What is a full service community school and what does that look like on school campuses? I'm then going to turn it over to Lori to talk a little bit about the City of Las Vegas and their leading role in establishing community schools within the City of Las Vegas and the Southern Nevada community. And she's going to talk about Reinvent Schools Las Vegas initiative and what that does on school campuses here locally. And then Aris and Sylvia are going to give case study examples of what community schooling looks like on their two specific school campuses and some of the programming that they've been able to implement in connection with the parents and families and teachers on their school sites. And then we'll close with some research supported considerations for anybody who's interested in doing more work in community schools, just some things to consider from your vantage point and your area. And then we'll close with questions and closing. And I was telling the panelists at the beginning, I really want to highlight them today because they are taking things from scholarship and making it happen on behalf of kids and families every day. So I really want to make sure we hear their voices on how they've taken these concepts and put them to work on behalf of the kids and families that we serve in Southern Nevada. So the first opening kind of section is just orienting us all to be on the same page as to what a full service community school is. And so in From the research, the definition of a full service community school is a model of a school that's designed to address educational inequity through kind of a twofold process. One leg of that twofold process is to really develop a full and complete understanding of the needs of students and families within a school community that may be impacting their academic, behavioral, and social emotional outcomes on school campuses. And so really taking a community-centric approach to understand the environment within which we are doing teaching and learning. And then second, from that thorough development of understanding, the goal is to build programs that address the needs or remove barriers that were identified by those community stakeholders by leveraging resources within the community to support the school campus. So it really is to understand what kids and families need in order to be successful on school campuses, and then build programs to give them those resources or remove barriers that are stopping them from getting those resources by using the strategies, techniques, and programming that's already offered in the community setting. So in a too long, didn't read scenario, a community school is a localized hub for the community. That really is what a community school strives to be that hub for kids, families, parents, community members to be able to come to a space and be able to access resources that remove barriers and support kids in their learning. Councilperson Knudsen, who is Mayor Pro Tem of the City of Las Vegas, and I worked together with Lori and the YDSI team early on in the development of community schools. And Brian used to say, all roads cross a school campus from kindergarten and through 12th grade. And so communities are on school campuses, interacting with school campuses, et cetera. So bringing the resources of the community to the school makes a lot of sense because schools are a place where those nexus roads of stakeholders intersect. And it's a place where we can bring services to schools and communities in that particular setting. So really that idea of developing a hub so that there's this one-stop shop for people to come get supports and services that they may need to better support their kids and families. So the main concepts that are developed from the research in implementing a community school is that stakeholders who want to bring the community school model to a school campus think about a variety of different variables that need to be in place to build out that community school. And the first, and I think most important variable of a full service community school is that the model leverages the social capital of the students and families on that school site. I think you're going to hear me say quite a few times, community schools are a hyper-localized strategy that are designed to really develop a deep understanding of the community that we're serving and that we are leveraging the resources of the community to support the community. So it's not we come in and build a program that's for the school. It's we work with the school to build a program that will best support the community. And so leveraging that social capital and building strong relationships with parents, students, families, and community members is a critical aspect of community schools. Another key variable that's considered in community schools are wraparound services or integrated student supports, where we really are thinking about the holistic child in their academic outcomes. So we're thinking about food security and housing security. We're thinking about social emotional outcomes. We're thinking about life events. We're thinking about mental health and mindfulness wellness. We really are thinking about all of the things that make us human and figuring out how we can support the whole child, whole family, etc., as they navigate the school environment. Another big piece of a community school model is the partnerships that are built. One thing, if you're interested in community schools, you can't do community schools without community partners. And so spending time and really deeply developing partnerships with critical stakeholders to help remove those barriers and address those needs at all levels, right? I think that's one thing that we've learned as we've expanded community schooling in Southern Nevada is it's leveraging policy resources. It's leveraging resources in the community. It's figuring out how to allocate funds. It's all of these things through partnership and the relationships that we build in the development of a community school model. It's the leadership of the site. One thing research is pretty clear about is that leadership of the community schools model is critical. So it's both school-based leadership, having the vision to integrate community schools into their school frameworks, but also the leadership of the community school itself. So we have Aris and Sylvia here today to talk a little bit about their roles. Research indicates over and over again that full-time coordination of community schools makes a big difference because somebody who's on a site managing community schools work on a school campus improves the likelihood that the community schools are going to work. Community engagement is critical, right? Just like partners, if we don't have partnerships and we don't have community participating, we don't have a community school. So figuring out ways that we can really critically engage our community stakeholders in the programming and ensuring that alignment of the need of the school is aligned aligned with the programs that we're implementing is a really big piece. And then the final part that we'll touch on a little bit towards the end is the funding and sustainability of a community school. There are costs affiliated with this. And what we want to think about with a community school is longer term braiding of funding, where we can't just rely on one kind of pot of money. A lot of times community schools, like our project that Aris and Sylvia are going to talk about, is from a federal grant. The federal grant ends. And so thinking about how we can continue the good programming after the end of the federal grant. And Lori and the team at the City of Las Vegas have been critical leaders in figuring out how to braid funding and ensure the long-term success of effective community schools programming. So these are some of the main concepts that are included in community schools. But one thing that we want to really make sure, I got ahead of myself on the slides. Really, there's kind of four main buckets of programming that community schools provide. So one of them is extended learning opportunities. These are before and after school programs, summer learning academies, etc., Saturday sessions, things that extend learning outside of the school day and integrate learning into the community. So that's a common characteristic of many community schools across the country, whether they're here in Southern Nevada or in Indiana, was one I was reading about the other day, right? They're extending those learning opportunities for families. They're providing health, mental health, and social services resources on the school campus. Another stalwart leader of community schools that we've had the privilege of working with, Dr. Lisa Morris-Hibbler, used to talk about if you need rent assistance, the city provides it. There's a whole application process to get it. How do we get those applications to school campuses so that parents and families don't have to figure out the right office in the city to apply for this resource, that it's just available for people on a school campus to be able to support their needs while they're there. Another part of it is critical is family engagement. Without families as partners, we really aren't hyper-localizing and supporting the needs of kids and families at the level that we would need. And then activities that center the community itself. I think that's one kind of pivot of community schools versus traditional schooling, is we are thinking about how we build programs that center the community and what they want schooling to be within their particular environment. There's a lot of resources we're going to talk about towards the end about what are essential for community schools transformations. We're going to chat a little bit about how you might think about community schools transformations in just a second, or if you're a university faculty member and you're interested in scholarship in this area, just thinking about ways that we can support community school transition towards the end. But you'll see this really it's a shared collective agreement that we want to implement community-centered programming to remove barriers that may be impacting student outcomes that are outside of their control. And it really is being partners with the school sites to take care of those variables so that teachers can teach, principals can lead, and learning can happen on that school day. So what does the research say? I'm going real fast. I gave myself 15 minutes and I'm almost there. What does the research say about full service community schools? I want to be honest with you all about when you look at the research on the impact of these programs. It's complicated. It is a complicated question to answer. And we often get this question of like, what is the impact of community schools? The thing about schooling effectiveness that makes it complicated is that the outcomes of students are multifaceted and they are complex. And so while we may be doing a program over here that's designed to create a space where literacy instruction can happen more effectively, there's a lot of other pieces that have to be in place for literacy scores to move. So to be able to say the community school structure can directly relate to literacy outcomes, that's a complex, complicated argument to make because there's so many different factors that are in play in the academic outcomes of a student. And unfortunately, a lot of the times when we say, is it effective? People are looking for, did reading scores go up? Did absenteeism go down? Did those types of things that were kind of measured on as school effectiveness? Those are the only things that we talk about. And so in a lot of ways, the research is supportive. There is a predictive modeling that community schools can lay the environment for higher academic outcomes later on. So there is a positive correlation in the research. There's no direct causal connection because of the complicating factors of measuring learning in school environments. But overall, what the research is pretty solid on or related to community schools is that when we implement a community schools model, it increases student participation in programming. So a community-oriented program versus a school-developed program, kids are more likely to want to participate in the community-oriented program, which then can predict later out academic outcomes. Because if you're participating in literacy programming after school, then hypothetically, logically, your literacy is going to go up because you're participating in the program. So kids tend to like the engagement of community schools more. Teachers feel more optimistic about the capabilities of their students. and their capability in guiding their students in a community school, research indicates that's because teachers in community schools tend to report knowing the school and the community better than they do in other schools, because it is so community centric that teachers feel more confident in their ability to be able to meet the needs of the students that are there. And we've increased family and community engagement on community school campuses across the research. That's been a critical variable that we've seen in play. I think the key thing, as we talk about the strategies that we've used in the projects that we're going to discuss in just a minute, is that community schools is a strategy. It is not a program, right? I think that's the key thing to keep in mind about community schools. Community schools is a strategy of bringing the needs of the community to a school campus to remove barriers. But a community school on one campus can't just be replicated on another campus, because it is built with the singular campus in mind. And so I think that's a really important thing to understand, is that with community schools, we have to develop a deep understanding of community first, then align programming with that deep understanding, and align our assessment metrics between those two things. So while we hope some of these summative measures are going to increase as a result of community schools, we also want to make sure that we are localizing our assessment to the program itself. So if we have an after-school literacy program focused on fluency, we are measuring fluency in that particular intervention type that we're doing. And so it really is, there's some positive outcomes of community schools across the literature, but ensuring that the strategy is localized and that the assessment of the strategies is also localized to that particular campus. So with that kind of overarching view of community schools from the literature, I now would like to invite Lori Lopez Priest from the City of Las Vegas to talk about Reinvent Schools Las Vegas, which is a community schools initiative located in the City of Las Vegas. And she's going to kind of tell you where it came from, what it does, and some of the impacts that we have seen locally through its implementation. So Lori.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan. That was an excellent overview of community schools and understanding. That helped me actually a lot, and I've been in this for a minute. But you can go to the next slide. So City of Las Vegas, why education matters to the City of Las Vegas. Initially, and 10 years ago even, we did not have a Department of Youth Development and Social Initiatives. It was not common for government to be involved in education. But as this presentation shows, it takes a village, and the school district cannot do it alone. So the city came in, as Joe mentioned, it was, I believe, Dr. Morgan, Mayor Pro Tem, who was actually in my position at the time, manager of Neighborhood Services Department at the time. They got with additional stakeholders, Dr. Lisa Morse-Hibbler, myself, and many in the community to research, do some white papers, really figure out what can the city and our community partners do to help support the school district to really improve outcomes and student success. So education, as we know, it drives a healthy economy impacting all areas of our community. So Las Vegas is now, 10 years later, committed to working across systems with multiple stakeholders to ensure all children have opportunities for a high quality education. These steps that we take will strengthen families and improve outcomes for children and youth, and are among the most important investments we make in the health and economic vitality of our communities. So basically what happened was in 2016, am I at that slide yet or no? Not yet. We'll go. Okay. We can go back. I can go. Sorry about that. I'll talk about the department, just how we were created back in 2015. We were created to help provide these supports and services to ensure that all residents receive a strong start in life, cultivate the skills required to compete, and can access support systems to help them thrive. So our whole purpose, goal, mission of our department is to support and enhance education. We strengthen the community. We increase equity through expanded opportunities, promote innovation, and really provide opportunities for workforce development. That is the whole purpose of our department. While we're going to go ahead and talk mainly about, obviously, Reinvent Schools Las Vegas initiative, this is kind of a snapshot of our department as a whole, the programs and partnerships we're currently involved in, we support. We start all the way from cradle to career. So we start in the pre-K realm. You'll see those Strong Start Academies with Acelera Learning, Strong Start Go mobile preschools, which came from our Mayor Carolyn Goodman's vision, was to have a fleet of pre-K mobile programs that go out into the neighborhood to support those that are underserved and need that in their communities. We've also, I believe we're the only government agency that now has a Strong Start Academy Elementary School. It is a charter school. It's a dual language, dual immersion charter school K through 5 that's been in operation for about 4 years. And then we go into our elementary school, which is our Reinvent Schools Las Vegas Community School Initiative, our Safe Key Before and After School program, our Reinvent After School program. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the discussion. And then our Batteries Included Next Gen and Batteries Included supports our middle and high school students. And then all of our equity programs help support those areas of service and support as well, which really focuses on workforce training and strong future youth employment training opportunities. So it all comes back to supporting our students now for workforce today and in the future. So RSLV overview, to kind of talk about how we got our start. And Joe kind of touched base on this. The stakeholders came together back, I would say, was it maybe 2013, 2014? Discussions. This was about policy. This was about how can we support research? What is a community school? And so from all those discussions, from that work, we launched the collaboration between the City of Las Vegas, Clark County School District, UNLV, and a host of other nonprofit organizations and businesses to create the Reinvent Schools Las Vegas initiative. Out of that creation, we entered into a formal MOU, which started beginning July 1st, 2016. We updated that and got involved again. And right now we are through June, it says 20th, but it's June 30th, 2027. So it's a 5-year MOU, and we're now on our second iteration of that 5-year agreement. It focuses, RSLV, our main focus is, as Joe mentioned previously, academic enrichment, extended learning opportunities, health and social supports, and family community engagement. We stuck with those 4 buckets that research showed are the areas that are most in need to help provide wraparound services. We do that through I'm going to skip down just to our AmeriCorps program because that's really the bulk of it. Our AmeriCorps service members, they address students' chronic absenteeism, provide academic support and or social emotional interventions, as well as physical activity and nutrition curriculum programming. So that's what they're doing during the school day, as well as the nutrition piece is happening during our after school program hours. We've also, with the extended learning opportunities, we've scholarshiped 4 of our Safe Key sites to make them free to our RSLV school sites. And we're the first jurisdiction to submit and be awarded a 21st Century Learning grant funded for the Reinvent After School program. It provides 7 of our RSLV sites with before and after school programming free of charge. And we'll talk about some of those outcomes a little bit later in this discussion. So that's kind of just an overview of what Reinvent Schools Las Vegas is and how the city operates under that initiative. Funding. How do we get funded? So there's multiple funding sources. They're both public and private partnerships. We leverage existing resources and redirect them to support the programs and services that the school offers. So you'll kind of see a breakdown. We invest about $1.7 million per year in our Reinvent Schools Las Vegas initiative. That's inclusive of all funding sources. So really just from our general fund, so from our taxpayer, it's only $56,000 per year that provides programming, the community resources. We do a lot of resource fairs, we bring support celebrations, any kind of milestones we bring to the school, help support teachers. That's that $56,000 per year. For the 4 free Safe Key before and after school programs, that costs us about $140,000 per year. Our RDA education set aside funding, we invest about $347,000 per year in that, and that supports our actual program coordinator, our RSLV Safe Key site senior management, as well as all of our program staff that help support, our part-time program staff that help support the AmeriCorps members out in the field. Our RAP grant, as I mentioned, that's a 5-year grant, $525,000 per year. So that's $2.65 million invested to support before and after school programs to make them free to our RSLV community. Our AmeriCorps grant, that's about $658,000 per year. That's a matching grant that the city matches an AmeriCorps grant fund to help support and provide stipends for those AmeriCorps members. To do that chronic absenteeism, literacy, and nutrition component. And then our Mayor's Fund for Las Vegas Life, that is the city's 501c3. We allow philanthropists and donations to come through that arm of the city of Las Vegas. And so far this year, $7,129 has committed to support. What we utilize that money for is typically when a school needs something like shoes for their their students, or we bring in mindful movements, trauma recovery yoga to help their social emotional supports. And we'll talk about that a little bit later too. Okay. So community resources, we touched base on that. Just a snapshot in 23-24. This is kind of some outcomes from our community sponsored events. Fall festival resource fairs at 6 of our RSLB schools. Obviously we do that during the fall time. And almost 5,000 attendees. That's families, that's parents, that's students that come and receive services and resources from 94 community partners. Some of those partners include vision and dental care. We have welfare out there for supports. We have the housing, Southern Nevada Housing Authority there. We have our fire and safety and our police there to help provide supports and resources, as Joe mentioned previously, on the campus. So, and then we have volunteers through our AmeriCorps members and our City of Las Vegas and other community partners. We have over 64 volunteers that provided 1,344 volunteer hours. So again, as Joe mentioned, it takes a village. It absolutely does to provide all these resources. And then the Safe Summer Nights, that happens in our springtime. Right at the very end of the school year, we had about 3,500 attendees. Again, a plethora of community partners providing those same resources, and then 88 volunteers providing 3,168 volunteer hours. So they're really impactful resource events that bring it to the school campus. And that's what the important part is, because the barriers are transportation, the barriers are time, the barriers, there's just so many barriers that if we can get to campus during the hours when you're picking your child up and provide these resources to the families that are in need, they're more likely to utilize them and benefit from them. Our Total Mind and Wellness Initiative, that was a grant-funded initiative we got from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, and it served over 10,143 students in a mindful movement. Now that goes directly to their social emotional well-being. We provide supports and services around breathing techniques and how to deal with stress and challenges that both students and staff are facing. We provide, we partner with Trauma Recovery Yoga, and they provide educator training. So you'll see that we had over 53 school staff attend those trainings and become certified in this mindful movements curriculum to provide to the staff and also utilize in their own personal lives. Our nutrition mentors also focus on creating and maintaining a healthy lifestyle, and they've supported over 1,600 students at 13 of our 16 RSLV schools to help them with their health and nutrition supports. Rather than me talking about these numbers, this video is a phenomenal visual of really how RSLV operates in action and a lot of the impacts and outcomes, and you're going to hear it from them firsthand, the students, the faculty, and the staff. So, Joe, without further ado.
So now that you've seen all of the excitement and enthusiasm around our Reinvent Schools Las Vegas, I want to talk to you a little bit about the philosophy behind the power and impact of what we put into our kids and how it builds stronger communities, families, and schools. It's modeled after community schools, and it really works to address the whole child in the environment. It brings the community into the school in a supportive way. It looks at how we can shore up academics, attendance, and social and emotional well-being for our youth in our elementary schools. This approach pays dividends long into the future. If we invest in our kids now, we reap the benefits for years to come.
It's not unusual to see parents and students checking out the community garden here at Red Rock Elementary School, but it's not everywhere you see the school's principal walking along with them. But to Principal Stephanie Wong, a stroll and interaction like this is just as important as high-level meetings with school administration. Red Rock is one of 16 Reinvent schools in the city of Las Vegas, and it is this one-on-one interaction with the entire staff of the school that makes students and their families feel welcome and involved.
I feel like this has just become a second family. Everybody here is so supportive, whether it's education or, home or anything, and everybody's there for you, and the admin from the teachers to the janitors.
Part of the philosophy behind Reinvent Schools is thinking outside the box or outside the classroom. In other words, these schools know the importance of not only taking care of students during the school day, but making sure the family unit is cared for as well.
The difference is just bringing those wraparound services to our school that we so needed. I always felt like we kind of hung on the side of the cliff and we did okay. So we did okay enough to be okay, but not as much as we could do for families just because we didn't have funding sources. And it's difficult to network.
That can mean everything from feeding families with the food cultivated in the school garden to holding free family resource fairs where kids get to have fun. Everyone gets a good meal, and parents get to learn all about the many resources available to them from partners across the city.
We are a community school. We have dental services, we have vision services, we have a clothing closet, we have a food bank, we have 3 Square that we give out fresh fruits and vegetables once a month, plus we have the backpack program.
Blow it out.
There is even trauma recovery yoga offered at many of the schools to help kids deal with stress or any kind of issues they may be facing at home in a healthy way, like this one at Robert Lunt Elementary School. Instructor Jaylene Moore says techniques the kids learn in class stand by them in all segments of their lives.
And even a kid, told us later on, they're like, sometimes when, things are bad at home or I feel unsafe, they're like, I just go in my room and I hum now and it makes me feel really good.
In fact, looking out for the children's mental health and all-around wellness is an area in which UNLV has played a major role since the first Reinvent School was established about 10 years ago.
We've supported finding the most effective components of the community schools model, what they should look like locally within our City of Las Vegas initiative. We've helped collect needs assessment data to be able to inform what the key stakeholders want on each of the campuses. We use the scholarship and research activities of the university to be able to determine effectiveness and what the impact of the program is on the local community. And then we find ways to have our students partner both at the doctoral level and in teacher education to work in a variety of initiatives to provide interventions and services to kids, to provide educational opportunities, etc.
UNLV also assists in the complex task of evaluating the success of these schools.
What we've found through evaluations of programming that we've done over the years is that students who are case managed by Reinvent Schools Las Vegas programming have improved attendance, they have decreased absence rates, they increase in their literacy scores, the number of families is markedly improved in how they connect with integrated student supports and have services outside of there. So there are a number of factors that show super promising evidence.
Another great arm of the Reinvent Schools is the AmeriCorps members. These are talented men and women who step in and work directly with the students and provide support for the teachers. Meet Scarlett and Asia.
We are there to ensure children's academic success throughout their whole academic careers, not just elementary school. Even though that's the age group we're working with, we're teaching them habits with their reading that they're going to carry on throughout their academic careers.
Because for me personally, having that one-on-one with a child that might need a little extra help, it just brings a light to me, and knowing that they are happy to come with me and they're like, oh yeah, I want to go with Miss Asia to the class, so that they could get that one-on-one.
So I think that there's nothing more fulfilling than working with a group of kids and having them say, wow, I understand this and it's because of you. There's nothing like having children look up to you and see you as a role model, and that's honestly one of the most fulfilling things about AmeriCorps.
Our Reinvent Schools are intentionally set up in communities where there is more need for wraparound services. It doesn't mean families at those schools don't want to do what's best for their children. Most often they just need to be pointed toward the resources that are readily available to help them. Like the community gardens, the school staff and the community partners just plant the seeds, giving the students and their families the bounty that nourishes the body and the mind.
So in less than a decade, we have grown exponentially. We started with 4 schools. We're now up to 16, and we are not stopping until we serve all of our schools here in the city of Las Vegas.
So that really demonstrates just the impact, the importance, and how successful the community school model has been within our Reinvent Schools City of Las Vegas school sites. This gives you a quick snapshot the reason we were able to scale up so quickly and get additional funding coming in from all different types of funding sources is because we're actually showing improvements. You'll see here our chronic absenteeism rates, and this is from school year 22-23 to 23-24. We showed a positive 6.7% increase in, decrease in our chronic absenteeism. So attendance went up 6.7%. And of note is that all 16 of our RSLV schools showed improved attendance rates. That is huge. And I know Aris is here from Matt Kelly. They are one of our top 5 gains from year to year. So that's phenomenal outcomes there. And then if we go to the next slide, we also have our reading proficiency rate. So just real quick, 10 of our 16 school sites have shown improvements in increased reading proficiency rates, which is huge. And one of those, again, Booker is one of our top 5 gains, 4.4%. And Sylvia will be talking about Booker's inaction and how that's happening there. We do have 5 schools, as you can see, that we're going to go ahead and provide additional literacy support. They did show minor decreases, but that's to be expected. I mean, these are post-COVID numbers, and COVID really changed things for us. But just to see these type of improvements and that we can actually show that how impactful our RSLV school sites are is the way that we're able to scale up, and we'll continue to scale, and we'll continue to get additional funding in to support these efforts. So that's mine.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. And I want to go on record. None of this would be possible without Lori and the team in the city of Las Vegas, Dr. Tammy Malich, and the entire group that kind of facilitates Reinvent Schools, who made this all possible. And so now we want to go even more deeper, because remember I said earlier, hyper-localized programming based on the needs of schools. So we're going to give 2 of our community schools specialists the opportunity to talk about how they've implemented research-backed programming on their campuses to support the needs of kids. And I do want to note, both of these schools are the original 4 Reinvent schools that we worked with when this began. And so we'll start with Sylvia Kalb, who's the program specialist at Kermit Booker Elementary School.
Hello, everyone. So I am at Kermit Booker, and I have, well, I'll make it short. I can talk for hours about this topic. But what I really wanted to focus on to begin with is our vision statement. All students will learn and succeed. And really, that is what gets us going when we are bringing programming into the school. We want to make sure that we have that vision in mind, so that we can not only be a successful program, but also provide success for the kids. So our school vision sets the foundation, but achieving success requires targeted strategies to support every student academically, socially, and emotionally. So I'll be sharing some of the programs that we have implemented at Booker, and all the programming that I'm involved in really fits into one or more of our pillars, which I know have been mentioned before. So integrated student support is where we focus on the most. After all, we're here for the kids. Academic assistance starts with AmeriCorps members. They are phenomenal on our campus. They work with students who are not at reading level, so they need the extra support just to kind of get them to reading to their grade level, and that is a fantastic way for our students to get a little bit extra support that doesn't take away from what the teachers are doing with the students that need that extra support from the teachers. So it's an additional support for our students, for our teachers. So our members on our campus meet with our students an average of 3 times a week for about 30 minutes each time. And then all the curriculum that AmeriCorps members work with comes directly from our learning strategists, just to ensure that we are mimicking the same information to our students so that they can be more familiar with the curriculum. We also have an attendance incentive, which is in its second year of implementation. And our attendance, so the data will show you like a margin of, of improvement, but what it doesn't show you is the excitement that the kids have when they get to celebrate that perfect attendance at the end of the month. So we host celebrations every month for students that have perfect attendance. And recently, one of the students said, "Miss Sylvia, can you believe I got to color pumpkins and all I had to do was come to school every day?" And they say the funniest things, and I really enjoy the feedback that they give us. But really, like, that's what it is just encouraging the students to show up. And I know that a lot of times, it doesn't really depend on them to show up, but they because they get incentivized for showing up, they really do encourage their parents to make sure that they are at school and no, I can't miss, or things like that. So our attendance incentive is amazing. They get a weekly like dog tag that says that they were there all week, and then at the end of the month they get to participate in some sort of celebration, whether it's coloring pumpkins. We watched a movie this last month, but they've done a game truck. So it's just different things that they get to do and participate in. We also have a behavioral incentive program that we are implementing, and it's very popular with our kids because they get to earn Booker bucks, so it's like school money, and then they get to go shopping for things that at the Booker store. So they could either spend their Booker bucks that week, or they can save up for like a bigger programming. So that's fantastic. They really enjoy that. We also do social emotional learning. So we used Character Strong, which is a fantastic a program that we use. So we do that with every single class at the school, and they get a lesson once a month, and it just promotes kindness. So we do community engagements. Really, we try to find sponsors from within our community to help us fund a lot of like the Booker store, or things that we want to do extra for the teachers. So community engagement is important. Volunteer opportunities. We have Reading Week, Career Week, that we invite community members to come in and participate within our school. We also look for sponsors for like long-lasting sponsors, right? So any sort of program that I do, I always try to find somebody that is willing to continue supporting the school, even when my position is done. After school and extended learning, I know Lori touched on this, and she mentioned mindful movements, which is something that we did an after school club for, and the kids had an amazing time. They really enjoyed it. They do use the breathing techniques that they learned. We also did tutoring for ESL students, and that came out very well. And now the students will ask, when am I going to get to stay with you after school again? They want that tutoring to continue. So that's really important, that the kids really they know that we have programming for them, and they're excited to be a part of that programming. I also know that Safe Key is a really great location for the kids to do homework and get to hang out with their friends, even make new friends. So that's really great. The last thing that I want to touch on is parent and family advocacy. So I have finally, after I think I've been at Booker for 6 years maybe, and I finally have a steady, consistent group of parents that are wanting to volunteer on campus, that participate in our monthly discussions, which is great. We survey parents to kind of learn about what they want to know, what they want to learn about, or what they want to talk about. And we've had great topics so far this year, from mental health to community resources for the holidays, and just stuff like that. So for me personally, I've had a great experience from the very beginning of when I started with the grant to now, and it has really shown me how, yes, it's hard work, to kind of get this the program being like consistent, maybe because it was new, But now that I'm in it and now that I've been doing it, I'm just a little bit more confident in going up to a business and saying, hey, I really want to sponsor, a school, and they need water bottles, right? And so we had community members donate water bottles for the kids, for all the kids that have water bottles or coats or toys or whatever that is. So really, like, building those relationship with community partners is fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you,
I can
Sylvia.
go on forever.
I know. I was texting Lori. Just so you all know, we need to hold a workshop. We could go on and on. But so I want to give a second community school specialist to talk a little bit about the work that he's done at Matt Kelly Elementary School. So Aris, if you want to talk a little bit about some of the ways that you've approached programming in at Matt Kelly.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe. How you guys doing? Again, I'm Maurice Perkins, and my school is Matt Kelly Elementary School, located on the west side. Well, actually, Booker and is right almost about 3 minutes away walking, about 15 seconds in a car. So, we're in a community where, these are much needed, and it's, it's a private area. So, the work we do is highly appreciated with the families, because, a lot of families, thank me at the gate for, the things that, that's implemented at the school and being able to help them at home. But at Matt Kelly, our school motto is dream it, believe it, achieve it. So we was having problems with absenteeism. So in order for us to have an impact, we got to get the kids to school. So what we did, we developed a Fun Friday. And with Fun Friday, we target our absenteeism kids. And what we did was we was telling them, hey, if you come to school 3 days out the week, it automatic qualifies you for the Fun Friday. And what happens was we was building partnerships. We had different little, we was incentivizing them. So we would get In-N-Out burgers, fries, go up there, bring it. We would have fun games, popsicles, games, table things, just on the NPR from like 2:30 to 3 o'clock, just to give them 30 minutes to, welcome them and cheer them on for being at school. And that, helped turn our absenteeism around tremendously. And then once we started getting them in school, then we was able to see a little bit more impact. And now now the kids here, let's start getting these programs here for them. Like Operation School Bell is something that we utilize heavily. We also have our Kelly clothing closet that we get get donations from the community. I always prefer like brand new clothes, because I just feel some type of way with giving used things to a community where they need everything, so I prefer used clothes. Then we also deal with Title I, and we do our shopping to supply our clothing closet once a year. We also do for SEL, we have a boys group, and I work with my boys, preferably 4th through 5th. Third, only reason why I say preferably them is because 4th and 5th grade, they're starting to get prepared for the real world. You're going to 6th grade, you're at home, you're taking care of your siblings. So it's certain things that you need to know, you need to carry yourself, you need to speak, just making sure they're provided with being a gentleman and understanding what that is and what a leader is, and how to demonstrate those. Also, we have a program with the Masonic Angel Tree, which is with the Masons and the Easter Stars, where they allow me to choose 20 families. And it's always tough for me when I have to choose like 20 families when I know my whole community needs it. So then, you really have to dial in and get to them, but they go above and beyond. I'm talking like be giving the families like so many gifts. Sometimes they'll require, and they tell me, okay, we want a family with 7 kids. We want a family with 5. We want a family with 2. We want a boy, girl. We want a family with 2 boys. So I have to find these, and they bless their Christmas so tremendously. It's special. We get together. They create a meal. So it'd be like on a Saturday, and we'll come, and they'll have a meal catered for them, and they would talk with music and introducing, and the families get to sit with the people who sponsor them. Then they get blessed with their toys. And then also with Commissioner McCurdy, he also comes and we does a North Pole at the Pearson, which now that makes it a little better, because he give me like 30 families. So it'd be like, okay, that's a little better, right? I still don't like choosing, but it's still at the end of the day that allows me to get about 50 to 60 families blessed for that Christmas. We also have turkey baskets that come in. I care for kids because we know I've been wearing glasses for forever, and sometimes you will be in these communities and your eyes will be bad due to moms not having the resources and not having insurance. So we try to cut all the costs and make sure our kids have it. We also do future smiles and like Miss Lori was speaking about, try yoga. We utilize that tremendously. Miss Tiffany Wheeler is so great. I mean, uh, I have a class come and they do it live with the instructor, but we have it when we do our morning announcements. So every class is live and every class is on our, those new fancy little boards we done got. It's live and we're all doing it together. So that'd be great too. And our kids, you like Sylvia say, you notice them, they start to develop and understand the breathing techniques. And then you like, okay, you guys not just in their plan, you also understand that this utilizes it calms you down. And some of the partnerships that I developed, the OGs, Obodo, which is a community garden, which is in the community, and we are also just started implementing our garden at Matt Kelly as well, so that we can get our little wellness things going and create the little entrepreneurship to get them to start understanding to create the product, make this, sell it, and just getting them into the entrepreneurs little vibe as well. Commissioner McCurdy, the St. James Catholic Church that also blesses us with turkeys, the Buffalo Soldiers Motorcycles Club this year that did tremendously with giving us turkeys for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Also, Foodie Fit. Foodie Fit blesses us. They give, for the last 3 years, give me 400 backpacks fully supplied and everything for the whole school. And I even be having some left over. So I tend to donate them to the community, to call people to see if they have some back, because I know every year I'm getting 400. So it's just been great. Then with our families, we have our we do our family gaming nights. We also do like our big Christmas thing. We do like, it's called our Cocoa Crafting and Christmas, where we playing Christmas carols, drinking hot chocolate and with the marshmallows. And then we ended with a bang with our big family formal, our spring family formal, where we have our families dress up, everybody look nice, come out, and we cater it, have it. It's just a nice, beautiful time. So we try to just implement all these things because we know that these are things that in the community where we are that is missing, that they don't never get to experience that. And the thing about it is creating that experience that can change a kid's life.
That's awesome. Thank you all three for living the work and kind of talking about how you could take these research-based strategies and implement them in the classroom. So I'm going to close out in 2 minutes, so we have a couple of minutes for questions and answers. If you are thinking about this, and I know I saw in the chat box a question to us, we talked about a lot of the positives. This isn't easy work, and there are road bumps and there are things that we've got to get in place. I'll tell you one thing that's a big struggle is to have that many partners in place. We all have different North Stars that we're working towards. We all have different reasons. We all want kids and families to be successful, but we're all trying to accomplish different things in order to achieve that. So keeping a group of diverse partners together, focused on the same goal, really requires a lot of management, a lot of relational work, a lot of meetings and clear communication. So I think one thing, if you're interested in community schooling work, I wish I hadn't programmed these. But some of the things you've got to think about, and I just want to address some of the challenges because I think that did come up as a question. One of them is having a clear, measurable theory of change and make sure we're all working towards it and that it's based on need. I think sometimes groups of people can come together and propose programs that are not always as aligned to the kids and families' needs as kids and families think, right? So I think really encouraging kids and families as a part of the partnership, spending the time to invest in that human aspect of the community school, and having a clear vision for how we're going to accomplish some of these tasks. The other thing that I will talk about very, very quickly is funding is complicated because you can build great programs with an investment of grant dollars, and when grant dollars leave, finding ways to sustain that over time. And so these programs are additional programs that come onto school campuses, And we want to make sure that any program that's having success, we've got the funding to continue it over time. So those funding mechanisms to continue those community schools become really, really important as we go forward. I want to share with you, somebody else in the chat box asked about high school, secondary settings. Our program, Reinvent Schools, is focused on elementary, but community schools exist at all levels. So here are some websites that, Youngbach, let me know. I think we can share this out so that people can see the slides and these links. I want to draw your attention to Communities in Schools. It's a national organization, but there's a Communities in Schools of Nevada that is doing great work related to full service community schools. They have a federal grant to expand community schools programming. They do a lot of work in secondary settings as well. So we're talking about an elementary version, but there are great partners who are doing this work at all levels. There are some nonprofit organizations that you can reach out to and see if there are any additional information about how to build a community school. So I want to open it to questions, and I'm going to take those. We've got 4 minutes. Again, I'll stay here for as long as you want to answer these questions, but we got about 4 minutes in the session, and I'm going to leave our email addresses there if you've got any questions that you want to reach out to us directly about. But yeah, so we'll turn it over to questions for just a couple of minutes. Yeah, it's a great question, anonymous attendee, about ensuring that you're updating the needs of the community. The idea of a community school is that hyper-localized plan is updated regularly. So because it is a framework, not a program, the framework has to constantly be revisited. And so that last slide I just barely touched on that theory of change that's clear and measurable, that we are always orienting ourselves to say, are we serving the needs of the community that we're serving today? And by today, we mean today, but next Monday might be a different thing, right? Like, so it really is ensuring that we're doing regular updating and norm checking with members of our community. And so I think that partnership becomes a really critical thing, because as demographics change, as leaders change, as variables change, we want to make sure the programming that's being provided in a community school model is meeting needs. The idea is that community schools may change over time. They should change over time, because if we've removed one barrier, we need to move on to the next one, right? Or we need to sustain the programming for the one particular barrier. So this is not a static program that is just implemented. We should be refining and finessing the community school every year, every 6 months, whatever we need to make sure that we are addressing the needs of the community that have been identified. And so I go back to that. It's a framework or a strategy, not a program. The strategy is understanding the needs and then developing programming aligned to those particular needs. And the strategy should be changing as the community changes. So, great question. Yeah, there's a question about scalability. I'm going to go back, and then I'm going to kick that over to Lori. This will probably be the last question that we can ask live in the webinar. Scalability is hard. It's the funding and the infrastructure for community schools. I will tell you, in my dream world, we would pass policy that would support funding for community schools in neighborhoods where there is need for the community school. I do think that it's got to be sustained infrastructure to be able to support these initiatives over time, because when we're chasing grant dollars, there isn't enough resources to be able to do these. But I think Lori's slide about how they've braided funding and used existing resources, repurposed things, I think that was brilliant, because I think that's a way to bring more scalability to community schools by looking at what we have and repurposing it to meet needs like this. But Lori, I'm going to kick that over to you, see if you have any thoughts on that.
Wholeheartedly, Joe, and it really takes our leadership to be invested in this work. And our mayor and city council were 100% invested, and so they gave us really the empowerment to go out and find different funding sources, utilize our Mayor's Fund for Las Vegas Life, apply for grants that governments and agencies had never applied before for, but we were successful in getting them. So you have to be able to think outside of the box and go ahead and go for things that you've never gone for before to get that funding source in. I will say the challenges have been, I don't think we've had the same RSLV coordinator. I believe we've had about 3 or 4 in that 10-year span. So that kind of turnover of staff is difficult. We are also the principal you saw in that video. She is no longer the principal of Red Rock, so we had another principal. So it's about continuing that education of what community schools are, what RSLV does, the impacts, the outcomes, to really get the principals on board, to get our funders on board. We have to have that data. And working with CCSD, that's really a big component of that MOU is the data collection, because we don't have access to Infinite Campus to get that information. So we rely on the school district to provide it. But we need that information. How are we making impacts? What are we moving the needle in order to get funders to provide additional funding, in order for our council to go ahead and approve us to scale up, in order to get additional staffing, because that's really what is needed, in order to get the information out to bring in more AmeriCorps members, because it really is, our AmeriCorps members are at poverty level. That's a requirement to be an AmeriCorps member, so they get an educational stipend. So it really is everybody coming together, everybody coordinating and managing as a team, and all for the success and support of our students, families, and school communities.
Yeah, and I'll close, and then I'm going to kick it to Youngbach because I'm 1 minute over. I just want to reiterate, community schools is a strategy. And so when we think about scalability, I think the strategy needs to fit the needs of the school. I don't know that community schools, this kind of a level of framework may not be the answer for every single school. They may have other strategies that are working to support their needs, or other kind of configurations of structures. And so I think it really is to everything that we talked about, and then ensuring the strategy aligns with the vision of the school and the community. And I think those are ways that we can purposely bring the resources to the schools where we can remove barriers and see those outcomes. So Youngbach, I'm going to stop talking because again, I could go on for a whole nother hour.
Joe, you and your team have done a phenomenal job of continually surveying the community, surveying our teachers, our staff, our parents, to see what their needs are, to hear it directly from them, to make sure that we are providing the services, resources that they need to be successful.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Yeah, thank you all for coming. We love this topic, so I think any of us would be willing to talk more about this if you are interested. And thank you for spending a Thursday afternoon chatting with us. Thank you all. Go out, have a good evening. Do good in the world. We're glad to be in community with you all. And if we can connect or answer any questions, please reach out, and we're more than happy to support any work in this area. So have a good evening. Thank you all.